Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is the listing special on NTPC Green, which will be live for all our viewers to see. In just about 2 minutes, NTPC Green will make its debut on the D Street. This was the much anticipated IPO because it's the third largest IPO of 10,000 crore rupees in this year. After Hyundai and Swiggy that we have seen, you already are seeing some live visuals coming in from the National Stock Exchange right there. People gathering ground. The management now also garnering around the bell, which they will be hitting right at 10 a.m. to mark their debut on the D Street. Remember, this 10,000 crore IPO was subscribed by 2.42 times with a price band of 102 to 108 rupees. It received a bid of around 143.3 crore shares against 59.3 crore shares on offer right there. Now, we are joined by my colleague Pawan Nahar, who is going to be giving us some sense of what the listing will take place at and what are the top brokerage houses are really saying on the listing day. What should investor strategy be? And we are now also joined by our external expert now. We have Sunny Agrawal from SBI Securities with us as a market expert to give us his sense on what the IPO really presents as an opportunity to all the investors right there. 30 seconds to go and you will finally see the bell getting hit. But very quickly to you, Sunny, your sense on what NTPC Green is going to be looking at. Of course, listing might not be very exciting as the grey market premium was also indicative of a flattish with a muted start and the pre-opening trades are also just about a 3% uptake. But is this an IPO that you are also positive on?
Yeah, good morning. I think again we were expecting a tepid listing as far as NTPC Green is concerned, looking at a slightly expensive valuation. Although a long-term outlook continue to remain very robust, 3 gigawatt capacity as of FY24 expanded to 19 gigawatt in FY27. So that's a massive capacity ramp up over the next 3 years. However, just our back of the envelope calculation suggests that the company is likely to post kind of close to 9,500 crore EBITDA in FY27 and close to 2,000 crore PAT in FY27.
Right.
So basis that number, EV/EBITDA for FY27 comes to close to 10 times. So I think this stock is for someone who want to invest in the company from a long-term investment horizon. Only thing which is missing in our competition is hydrogen part and battery energy.
Sure.
So that will be additional kicker as far as numbers are concerned.
Right. NTPC Green in front of you viewers. It's gathering further pace, 116 right. 7.5% higher. That's a much better number that we see, Pawan, from what the listing was being expected at. It's gathering further pace.
So basically, listing has been on a higher side only. But if you see, it never was traded at discount in the grey market premium. If you see, the listing was on flat listing was expected, and 3% is not a very much of listing pop as we are now used to a very strong listing gains, particularly in the renewable energy space. So this listing is a tepid one, and but the good thing for the investor is that it is not a discounted listing. 3% of premium is what may not attract investors, but yes, it was always a long-term bet, as Sunny sir rightly mentioned that it is a long-term play only, considering its aggressive valuations.
Right. Sunny, coming to you strongly. For those who may be looking at an opportunity who have not got the allotment in the IPO space, is today a good time? Is this the right price for them to enter, or should they actually wait, since you also pointed out about exaggerated valuations as being one of the key concerns?
Yeah, I think one can wait and watch for next few days, as usually the euphoria post-listing dies down in a span of a few days of listing. So I think one can gradually accumulate the stock on the deep from a long-term perspective. Again, the return expectation has to be close to 13 to 15% figure over the next 3 to 5 years. With that return expectation, one can add in the portfolio from a long term.
Any key price points that you would like to advise? Where would it be an ideal for investors to really look at?
Again, I would not like to pinpoint any price, but maybe below the issue price. I don't know whether that will trade below the issue price of 108 rupees. But any price below 10 to 20% of the issue price will be a good risk reward as far as NTPC Green is concerned.
Okay, got that. So there, viewers. NTPC has listed at a premium of 3% at 111. It's further garnered pace. It's trading at around 7% higher at 115 odd levels right now. But as Sunny believes, the valuations are still higher, so one should be waiting for dips in case one has to really look at this one. For sure, a long-term play, as both Pawan and Sunny have mentioned. This is a story that you really need to see from the longish perspective. Pawan, coming back to you, what are some of the brokerage houses and analysts really saying on the listing day? What should be the strategy for investors, those who have got the allotment and those who are still waiting for an opportunity in the listing space?
So Sakshi, as far as we spoke to the brokers, and the if I summarize in the in a nutshell, then it will be a long term gain, a long term strategy that investors should hold it for a long term. So let's talk about the analysts, what they have said so far. So Shivani Nyati from Swastika Investmart, she was already expecting a muted to modest listing gains, considering the aggressive valuations and higher PE ratio. And she said that short term investors should remain cautious on this stock, but it's a good long-term play. Manish Chaudhary, research head of Stocksbox, he also suggested that investors who have received the allotment of shares, should hold it for a long-term play, because the renewable energy space is a long-term bet only, and the company has a strong parentage and a robust order book and a strong portfolio of renewable energy. Prashant Apse from Mehta Equities, he has also suggested that investors should not expect any listing gains, and that is what we can see, only 3% of listing premium. And he has also suggested that investors can, if someone is looking for a fresh entry, then they can consider buying at near the issue price, and that will be like 2 to 3% higher, and the current price is suggesting the same. So but this strategy is only for the long term investors who did not get the allotment of the share. However, it may fall later. If we see, it may fall below the issue price as well. But it's a long-term play, as from Tapse's view. Prashant Amoja, he has from Hensex Securities, he has a very interesting point. He said that investors should book a partial profit if the stock is up by 8 to 10% during this period, and look at for the entry level below the issue price if the stock falls in the coming days. So he has a very interesting strategy that he believes that the stock may fall, and the partial profit booking will be a prudent strategy for this counter.
Okay. Sunny, coming back to you now, as far as NTPC Green is concerned, where would you place it amidst all the green energy stocks that are already in the listed space? Further gathering pace, now 118 for NTPC Green on the debut day right now. For those who've been, focusing on the renewable energy part of their portfolio, several of the, newly listed companies are also, buzzing. Acme Solar, for that instance, one of the recently listed spaces stocks within the solar space particularly has been buzzing off late. There are several others which have been outperforming within the green energy space. How are you really placing NTPC Green amidst all of those opportunities that exist? Because fundamentally the company is strong. Financially, they've been actually on the better side when it compares to the peers as well. What is it that you are sensing here?
Again, coming to renewable energy as a sector, I think there are multiple opportunities. One is on generation side, and then there are few players which are on EPC, and as well as then there is one segment of where players are into the manufacturing of the solar module and supplying them to the EPC as well as power generator. So I think within power generation space, I think no doubt NTPC Green is the largest in terms of capacity X of hydro, and that will continue to remain one of the favorite as far as institutions are concerned. But looking at an healthy listing, I mean decent listing for NTPC Green, I think on a valuation front, Acme looks attractive in terms of valuation, trading at an relatively cheaper valuation compared to NTPC Green. So Acme can also be considered from a long-term perspective. And at the same time, the incumbent players like Tata Power, which is again holding a significant renewable energy portfolio under its belt. I think that can also be. Again, I think the entire industry is likely to benefit over the next 3 to 5 years. Just to throw some number, 442 gigawatt is the total capacity of power in India as of now. By 2030, it is expected to go to 667 gigawatt. So incremental close to 220 gigawatt, and out of this 220 gigawatt, renewable is likely to contribute to 187 gigawatts. So 90%, more than 90% capacity addition over the next 4 to 5 years is coming from the renewable energy space. And I think all the players, entire ecosystem will benefit out of it, whether it is an EPC player, solar module manufacturer, power generator, and at the same time allied sectors like transformer and cables and wires.
Okay, got that. Well, apart from this, remember yesterday we got to know that NTPC Green has also signed an MOU with Chhattisgarh Power Company for a 2000 megawatt green project as well. So that's another one that's going to be important to track from here on. This has been signed as of yesterday, and this is to develop about 2000 megawatts of renewable energy projects, including the floating solar projects as well. So that's also going to be important for us to track over there. So the opportunities largely lie ahead of it, but clearly, as both Pawan and Sunny have highlighted, it's a long-term story which we need to track. 0.5% higher. So right after that rapid listing, we are seeing further pace getting into the positive zone, about nearly now 10% higher in trade for NTPC Green. Let's see how it goes forward from here. Thanks to both Sunny and Pawan for being with us on the show to highlight what should be investor strategy and what a top brokerage house is saying on this one. And thank you so much, Sunny, with your view on NTPC Green. We'll catch you soon on this one. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining in on this special edition on the live of NTPC Green. We hope that you will continue to track this talk throughout the day, and we will also continue to monitor and give you all the updates that you need to know about this new debutant today. Thank you so much for joining in. There could be some opportunities. Rudra, have you identified any opportunities within the mid and the small cap space where investors could look at, particularly now after some retracement is happening within these spaces as well?
Sakshi, I'll be very, very clear. I feel personally that still market has not yet made a bottom. Stay with large cap stocks because valuations are more comfortable compared to mid and small cap even after this correction. And if you force me to buy some mid or small